Good morning, everyone. It is Ashley Fields with Yard Art R Us. Today we are going to be painting our interchangeable gnome blank. So as we get started today, as you hop in, say hello. I went ahead and started out with one coat of white on my entire piece. On the hat I have sky blue, I have gray on the beard, I have teal on, I guess, the pants and the little ball of the hat. We've got a little bit of flesh on our nose and black on our shoes. Good morning, Debbie. How are you? Now, on my, I'm just now seeing, okay, that looked a little different on off. I was about to say, did I paint this the wrong color? Today, y'all, this gnome does have 9 different interchangeable hands, but today we're just going to do 2 that are kind of in season right now. So we're going to do our actual gnome, and then we are going to do our patriotic star and our sunflower. As you know, right now both of these hands are something that you could have out in your yard. Good morning, both of my Debbies that are here. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. Tootsie, as you can hear, my dogs, they are in here, and of course as soon as I go live they like to be loud, so forgive them and forgive me. All right, y'all, I went ahead and started, let me show you right quick the end product. We are going to take this gnome that we're working on to look like this one. So I went ahead and got some tape down for us to get some plaid here on the hat. So that's what we're gonna start with first. Good morning, Linda, so glad to have you here today. Y'all, this painter's tape that I used, this is a 3M brand. I'm gonna say this one's about 1.5 inches. On this tape, it says it's number 2090-2090. So about 1.5 inches wide. All I did is just kind of started with some vertical stripes. I'm gonna get out a baby wipe. Whenever we're doing plaid and we're using a baby wipe brand doesn't so much matter. You just need a baby wipe. So I'm gonna start with the teal on my plaid, so we can go ahead and get that plaid going. So what I'm gonna do is just take a little bit of this teal, which this teal that I'm putting down is the same teal that I have down here on the pants. So I'm kind of just setting some down. I squirted some on, and I'm basically just taking this wipey and kind of folding it up in my hands. And what I'm gonna start doing is just picking up that paint with that wipey. Now I kind of start out with a lot of paint. Good morning, Carly. How are you doing, my dear? I obviously started out with a good little, size of paint on here, and I'm really kind of just taking a lot of that right back off. Now notice whenever I'm doing this, I'm staying in that same direction that my tape goes. So whatever direction that tape is the same direction that my arm is going to pull that paint. Now, notice as I'm going through and I'm continuing to get all of my stripes done, I'm not adding more paint. I'm just using what I already have. And as you guys can see, whenever I do plaid, I do make a bit of a mess. So I'm just kind of taking my finger to clean up any of that paint that is an undesired location. Now that I'm moving over here, I can tell I'm running out of paint. I'm just gonna squirt just a little bit more. And basically, the wipey is gonna pull up a lot of that paint. The reason I choose to use a wipey is because I can get these lines to be very transparent, which is what I'm going for. Whenever I'm doing any kind of plaid, I really like a transparent look underneath. And that way, whenever my lines intersect and that square intersection comes out a little bit darker, which is exactly what I want. Carla says, I'm good, I love the gnomes. Thank you, my dear. I love the gnomes too, they're so fun. All right, I have one coat already down for my plaid. So at this point, I'm just gonna pull up this tape. Because we used a baby wipe, you have a very thin layer of paint there. It's not thick, so it'll dry rather quickly. Now, the tape you can reuse. Y'all, I don't reuse it. I probably have 10 to 15 rolls of painter's tape here in my shop. So I don't even bother with reusing. I just kind of chunk it and we just keep moving on. I'm gonna hit this with the blow dryer for maybe 30 seconds or so. And then we'll go ahead and do our perpendicular stripes. So we can start to create the plaid look. Good morning, Sally. How are you? So glad you're here this morning. Y'all, it's as fast as that. That's already dry. thank you to the baby wipe because I don't have a whole lot down on there. All right, so now I'm gonna go back to grabbing that tape and I'm just gonna go opposite. So it doesn't have to be perfect. What I'm kind of looking for is that wherever this overlaps, I'm creating little squares or diamonds, however you want to look at it. So I kind of just set a piece down somewhere in the middle, nowhere perfect. This piece is almost my trash piece, okay? The only reason I keep this piece is so that I have the same spacing between each line so that everything looks perfectly perpendicular and parallel. That is how I like it. Take up that trash piece and use it again for my spacing. So I call it a trash piece, but it's really just a spacer. And we just continue on taping down. Anybody who has been following us for any amount of time, you guys know I am obsessed with plaid. I love plaid. I love painting plaid. I think it's a fun little, technique that you can bring a lot of life to your piece without a whole lot of work and effort. All you really need is some baby wipes and some tape, and bada bing, bada boom, it's nice and fast. So again, pick up that trash piece, my spacer, and just continue on. Notice I'm taking that tape off the edges just to make sure that I have enough tape. All right, now that trash piece is officially trash. I don't even need it anymore. I'm gonna just take my hands and just make sure I'm pressing down all the edges on that tape. That way I don't get any paint that comes underneath. Good morning, Lupe. Good morning, Amy. So glad to have you guys here this morning. All right, I still have the same baby wipe. I'm gonna go ahead and squirt some paint down. And now pull it across, going the opposite direction. Remember, I'm going parallel to my tape. Whatever direction my tape is, I kind of follow that direction. So this one right here, I kind of almost have too much paint. I'm gonna just kind of come back over and pull some off. Now notice I'm really just using that paint that I already have in that baby wipe. I don't really need to add a whole lot more unless I can see that my baby wipe's getting dried out. There we go, nice and light. Now, as we start to pull off this tape, you guys can hopefully start to see why I like the baby wipes as opposed to paintbrush, because I get a nice light coat, and then everywhere where your lines intersect and you have your squares, they come out just a tad darker. That's exactly what I'm going for. Let me show you guys up close. Look at there, so pretty. I love it. All right, so that is what we're starting out with the plaid. Now, let's go ahead and start moving to our beard. I'm actually gonna get a piece of chalk. This is Crayola chalk I happened to get at Hobby Lobby. And on the beard, again, let me show you our sample. The beard only has a perimeter outline. It doesn't have any other lines inside of it. So I'm gonna kind of take a piece of chalk and lay out these lines for me so that I have the correct direction of the hair as I'm painting the hair on this beard. So I'm gonna turn it just for a second so I can get some lines. So I'm kind of imagining these little pokes that are coming out, almost like it's coming inward. So I'm kind of like following that line and bringing it inward. And that one I don't quite like, but the middle ones really don't matter. It's kind of, I'm really looking for this bottom one to give me direction on where it is that I'm trying to go. This a little darker. I don't even know that you guys can really see. Let's see if I can get you a little closer. But as you can see, that chalk is just to help me realize what direction I'm gonna take that paintbrush. I'm gonna go ahead and, I can kind of do a little bit down here. And really this one's kind of almost more of a wavy type of line. There we go. And again, this is just for directionality of what my paintbrush is going to be doing and the direction my paintbrush is going to be going. Y'all, I'm going to show you this paintbrush. I have two of these. I actually can't even find my other one. These brushes, I literally only use for one pattern every single year. I have a silhouette white nativity that we do solid glitter with, okay? This is the brush that I use to paint these little crevices and edges just like that on these corners that I can't get to with a roller. I use this brush. That's literally the only thing I use it for because it's so stiff. And quite honestly, it does not paint very well if I'm trying to do anything else. However, I found that it's perfect when doing your beard. So this is going to be the brush I'm using today. And in fact, I wish I could find my other, here we go. These are both the same brush. They are very stiff. As you can see, this one, my husband kind of started peeling the paint off of this one the other day. But on this one, you could see all that built up paint. And if you're actually looking at my bristles, I can feel the paint built up inside of these bristles all the way to here. So normally for most of us, that might be a trash brush, but I'm actually using this to do a dry brush kind of look. And good morning, Donna and Nancy. So glad you're here this morning. How is everybody doing, y'all? It is a beautiful Thursday. My daughter and I are going to be running some errands today. I've got some reading I need to be doing. I've got all sorts of things. But other than that, no complaints, y'all, no complaints. It's been kind of a rough week around here. We had to put down a dog that we've had for 13 years yesterday. He had congestive heart failure. And then we have a funeral to go to tomorrow. So though this week has been kind of hard and kind of heavy, I know God has me all the way through. All right, y'all, I'm taking, again, old crusty brush, all right? What I'm basically doing, I have a light gray down here on my base. This is just light gray mixed with a little bit of black. If you can see, it's just a darker tone. So all you really need is gray and get you a tone that's a little bit darker. I'm just loading up some of that paint in the tip of my brush. And in fact, I'm even gonna offload it because I want this to look very light and wispy. Okay, just got a little bit in there. What I'm gonna do is kind of start wherever my lines go. I'm pretending that I have those lines on the CNC. And I'm barely taking, I'm not using any pressure. I'm just almost stroking lightly over top and just kind of creating that direction that I want my hair to come out at. There we go. So right here, I'm kind of wanting it to kind of curve up towards my nose. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Again, zero pressure. If you guys have an old rickety brush that you're like, man, I'm about to throw that brush in the trash, that's perfect. Grab that brush out and save it. And you can use it for hair. Now, y'all, I'm making a mess. Another brush that you could use, guys, you could always use a rake brush. You could also use a chip brush. I just happen to have this old rickety one that worked really, really well for me, so I'm sticking with this one. Good morning, Jennifer. So glad you're here, my dear. Okay, I have kind of a base set up right here with how his whiskers are coming out. All right, as you can see, very light. I did not have very much paint. I'm really not adding a whole lot of paint. I'm almost just kind of allowing this brush to be almost nearly dry to help create that look that I'm going for. So I'm starting to run out of paint. I'm just dipping just the tip, y'all, just the tip. I'm gonna dab it right here on my lid. And I'm gonna come back and offload. Because remember, light and wispy. See, even here I have a little too much paint, but that's okay. So once that brush kind of touches down, I have zero pressure. No pressure at all. I'm almost just allowing that brush to kind of flow, come in wherever it lands, and just take it and kind of bend my wrists a little bit, twist it a little bit, and creating hair. I want it to be flowy. I don't want it to be straight. I think straight might look a little silly on this one. So again, just very light. Set that brush down and almost kind of take it and wave it across. Anywhere that you are like, oh, that doesn't have enough, that's okay. Keep going and do some more. Now, if you're somebody like me, when I did my sample, y'all, I did put too much paint a few times. And all I did is I allowed it to dry, and I came back over with the light gray that is on my base. That's the fun part about doing hair, is there's always room to go back and kind of, you know, fix any little boo-boos. All I'm trying to do at this moment is kind of bring some of these hairs all the way up to where this mustache part is. There we go. All right, there's a good start. Now, next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dip the brush back into this gray. I'm picking up a little bit more paint than I have so far. I'm gonna just kind of put it right here on the lid, and I'm gonna take this and add a little drop. I'm almost creating a couple different variations of gray. I just added a little bit of drop of black to it. And I'm just making an even darker color. In fact, I might even add just a little bit more black. There we go. What I am trying to really go after is just having different shades of gray in here. I might even just do a little bit more, y'all. It's not quite coming out as dark as I want it to be. There we go. I think that's a little better. Okay. Again, offload that brush, and I'm going to continue here with the same thing. As you can see, again, zero pressure. I'm going to just kind of come in and lightly allow just the tips of my bristles to kind of come over top. And as you can start to see, I'm getting that darker color. So I have that light gray, that original gray at the base. I mix that original gray with just a little bit of black for my first coat. I used that darker gray and just mixed it with a little bit more black here for that second coat. This to me is when it really starts to come together, when you have different tones coming in. Ooh, I love this, y'all. If you wanted something a little darker, y'all, you could even just use black right now. I didn't want it to be that stark. Oh, I just love this. I love this, I love this. Y'all, I am obsessed with gnomes. Gnomes are one of my absolute favorite things to paint. And I really just think that's because you can do so many different things. You're really not, you don't have to be tied into any one thing. Okay, I like the way this is looking. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of wash out, actually, you know what, I'll leave that brush up. I'm just gonna grab my other one. And this one, what I'm gonna do is grab a little bit of white and come in and just do the same exact thing, but with some white. So I'm gonna dip the tip of this. This is just the same brush, but it's a clean one. Dip in the tip. I'm gonna kind of dab it. The reason I'm dabbing it is I'm getting that paint brought up into those bristles, where I don't have as much on the end, but I have more resting inside of this brush. So dab it. Offload again. And again, continuing the same thing, just with white. So by this time that you're getting your white on here, you really have 4 different colors. You've got light gray, you've got what I kind of refer to as a shading gray, which is just gray mixed with a little bit of black. And then we almost have like a charcoal darker gray. To me, that is what helps to really make this beard pop. Now this is also one of those things that you can just keep going, add more, add more, add more. You really, this is the nice part about painting is everybody's kind of talent and the way that they want really starts to shine through. But there is the base of my beard. I'm done as far as painting my beard. At this point, all I need to do is outline it. But I have all of these colors brought into the beard, and this is where I'm going with it. I love the look of this beard right now. So I'm done. I'm gonna leave it be because I am somebody who can keep going and keep going and keep going, and then I don't really like my end result. So I'm gonna leave it. Hi, good morning, Wanda, Linda, Charlene, Teresa, Nancy. Thank you for coming to hang out. How's everybody doing today? Y'all let me know what you're working on. What are you guys painting? Obviously right now I've been doing some samples for you guys. We have Christmas in July coming up, so I just got done doing a Cowboy Santa, and he is absolutely precious. I cannot wait to show you guys. So I'm curious to know what you guys are working on right now. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start grabbing some shading brushes and start getting some color on here. Y'all, I've noticed I've got a lot of overspray almost over on my piece from when I was just doing my beard. So I have a lot of dots on my nose. I might need to come back and do some touch-ups on that. But let's go ahead and start with this flesh right quick. I have my flesh color as the base, and this one is our shading flesh. These colors that I'm using are inside of our color palette that we sell at Yard Art R Us. So this one is just one of our stock colors. I have this in this 2-ounce cup because anytime I have anything in a 2-ounce cup, I always have a little bit of water added to it. The reason I have a little bit of water added to it is because it helps me to have more fluid brush strokes. I'm using a Royal Gold, this is a soft grip number 12. I call it a shader, though it is referred to as a flat tip brush. I'm just simply loading one corner, almost doing a triangle load. I'm gonna set that corner down that I loaded up against the outside of my line and just simply follow around with that stroke. I'm gonna come back this way and kind of widen it out right there. Now, when I'm ready to lift up that brush, I'm ready to stop my line, I just simply lift up as opposed to just stopping right there on the piece. If you lift up, it'll help that stroke to be fluid. So while we're doing our flesh, let me go ahead and grab our hands, y'all. These hands are going to attach right here. As you can see, they're already pre-drilled with holes. So once we paint them, you have 9 different hands that you can mix and match and trade out for different holidays or seasons or, you know, whatever you're feeling like you're wanting to do at that moment. So today we're only doing 2 out of the 9. As times come, like next month, for instance, we are going to be doing Christmas in July. So next month we'll do our Christmas tree hands for this gnome. So there is that shading gnome on that hand, and here is our sunflower. Again, just loading up that corner, setting it down, and basically following the lines, y'all. I have a CNC that etches all these lines. So all of our blanks have these lines already etched for you. So kind of just following along with those. Again, do the same thing here. Anytime that I am painting, I'm somebody who paints everything in almost like an assembly line style. And so if I have a color on my brush that I can use on multiple pieces, I do all those pieces at the same time. So I just finished all that shading flesh. I can now go ahead and cap my paint, clean out my brush, and go ahead and start with the next color. So I think what we'll do next is going to be this sky blue. On sky blue, I like to shade with teal, which is the same color that we did on our plaid. So clean that brush out, just kind of getting that excess water and paint out of it. And I'm going to switch to my teal. Now this one's almost empty, so I'm going to fill it up. And grab a spoon. And we're going to add a little bit of water and get it mixed in. Again, the only reason I'm using that water is to thin that paint out a little bit so I get more fluid brush strokes. I've noticed that if I don't add water when I'm doing stuff like shading or outlining or highlighting, my brush stroke might take me about that far. And it looks choppy. And then, you know, my end result of my piece looks like you could see all the starts and stops. I don't want you to be able to see the starts and stops. I want it to look nice and fluid. So taking that teal, coming over top that sky blue, and just one simple stroke on your elbow. Especially on the base gnome, because we have all these pieces that are going to be put over top of this one, I'm not really trying to add a whole lot on that part of my elbow. Now, just move this for a second. We're going to do the same exact thing on these arms. Load that brush, simply follow it around. Now that line kind of got a little thin on this one side, so I'm just really repeating that same exact thing. And same thing over here. Again, guys, I'm still using that same brush I just used on the peach. This is that Royal Gold number 12. Just add a couple little swishes and repeat the same exact thing. That's the kind of nice part about doing this interchangeable gnome is you're repeating a lot of the same strokes because you have that same color that we're using. So to me, it makes it rather quick. Like when I painted all these samples, the thing that did take the longest is all the different colors of your pieces. But other than that, everything that has the sky blue arm and your peach hands, that's all the same. And take it and just boop. There we go. Good morning, Paula. How are you, my dear? Okay, let's see. How do we say your name? Is it Matana Shelby? Good morning. So glad that you're here. Please let me know if I butchered that name, because y'all, that is that is something I tend to do. All right, so we have that sky blue shaded with our teal. Now let's get our teal shaded. Again, I'm washing out the same exact brush. I like to just really use that same brush over and over. Tootsie, shh, 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 shh. I like to use that same brush. That way I'm not dirtying up a ton of different brushes. Winnie. Shh, shh, shh. As you can hear, my little corgi, she is a talker, and she does not like to be quiet, if you could not tell. And so sometimes when she gets to talking, she does not want to stop talking. All right, now when it comes to teal, as far as our color palette goes, I don't have anything darker than teal. So what I've done is I mixed this color together. This is simply teal mixed with black. I call it shading teal, though it is not in our color palette because it is hand mixed. So again, teal mixed with some black. I'm gonna take that in here. I know for you guys it might come out almost like a gray, but if you look up, it's like a blue gray. I don't even know that y'all could really see that on this camera angle or in this lighting, but it's a beautiful color. I'm gonna grab that teal spoon. Again, we're just gonna add a little bit of water to it because that helps us have fluid strokes. Thank you, Matana. So she says you actually got it right. Hey, good morning. So glad that you're here hanging out. Y'all, those of you that are maybe new, I want to let you guys know we have our Academy, Yard Art Academy doors open right now, open this week. They will close on Friday at midnight and will not reopen until the fall. And so Yard Art Academy is our paid membership subscription, and it is $27 a month. Tootsie girl. Shh, shh, shh. And what you get is you get 15% off of blanks. You get 2 free templates every month. You also get 2 videos, tutorial videos every month that are exclusive for our Academy members. So the templates that you get every month, you get that tutorial. And then we also have, I don't even know, I know more than 30 specific videos that are just over shading, outlining, highlighting, all that stuff. Where we buy our materials, what we buy, how we stake, the materials that we do use. If you can't find the material we use, what you can use, you know, all of these different things. So really all the ins and outs of yard art, of our business, of how we do everything that we do, that's a place where we dive a lot deeper into our process, into the painting process, and as well as just how to make yard art. So if that's something you are interested in, you can go to yardartacademy.com. Again, that's $27 a month. And our doors are closing Friday night. That's also something that you could cancel at any time. You are not locked in to long-term commitments. And those of you that are local, you also get a free paint party once every quarter. So, hi Denise, how are you? Good morning, my dear. Denise says, love the gnomes, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Hey Mandy, how are you doing, babe? All right, washing out that brush one more time. Now, y'all, I totally forgot to do my little ball over here. I just washed out the brush and I just totally skipped it. Oopsie. Go back. Get a little bit more paint. I'm just getting on the corner, y'all, because this one is a really tiny little ball. And just follow that circle. And those of you that have been following me a while, y'all know my circles are not the best circles. We'll make it do. All right, cap that. As far as the shading goes on my gnome, I am done on the shading. What he needs is some outlining and highlights. Now, before I move him out of the way right quick, I have this little patch right here on my hat. I'm gonna grab that teal and just get this patch painted teal right quick. I really should have had that already done, but as you could see, I forgot. Tootsie, what is up, girlfriend? I don't know what is up with my dogs, but they have a doggy door here in my art room that they can go outside. But they prefer to stay inside and bark and make a fuss and a holler, as opposed to actually going outside to chase after whatever it is that they are upset about. Good morning, Mandy. Hey, Joyce, how are you doing? I'm so glad you're here. I haven't seen you in a while, my dear. All right, I'm moving that gnome just for a few minutes. We're gonna focus on our hands that we have. So I have my sunflower. On my sunflower, let's see if I have I'm gonna try to get a new brush just because whenever I'm doing a yellow, like right now, I'm gonna use a light yellow to shade on this. If I'm using a brush that I've already got a lot of dark color in, it tends to come out in my lighter colors. So I'm gonna just switch brushes. I'm still using the same brush as far as a Royal Gold number 12, it's just an actual different one. So again, dip in the corner of that brush. Y'all, I call these shaders, they're just flat tip brushes. And I'm basically just gonna come around and follow that perimeter line. So I'm laying that brush down. I start with a little pressure, but as I continuously move, I add more pressure. Start with a little bit, add more as you can tell that you're running out of paint. I do go back and load my brush every time I'm going to a new petal. And that's just to make sure that my color is consistent on each piece. What, baby? Why don't you go get them? Go see what's out there. Oh, Lord. These dogs. Notice I did not have enough paint, so I kind of went back, loaded a little bit more. Just continue on that same thing all the way around. Now, here in the centers of my flowers, I'm just going to use what I have left in here and just very light kind of come in and just give it a little stroke. Oops, I had some blue in here. Whoopsie. Picked up another color along the way. Nothing too crazy. Just boop. Kind of boop it. Make that one just a little thicker. All right, now shading yellow on my sunflower is done. I'm gonna set this one aside. Let's get a little bit of shading red on my star. And then we just need to get the middle of our sunflower shaded, and then we can move on to outlining. Joyce says she's working as always. Can't wait to retire in a few months. Oh, Joyce, that sounds so fun. I know you've been keeping painting projects kind of stocked up for you once your retirement hits so that you're ready. Hi, Joanna, how are you? She says you are great. You make this look so easy. Joanna, a lot of practice, and it does get easy. It gets easier and easier. I know I've shared before, Joanna, I don't know how long you've been following, but back in 2015, I quit teaching. I used to teach full-time. I taught elementary school, and I came to work for myself. Prior to 2015, I did yard art. I've done yard art since I was a teenager, so I don't know, 20 years or so, but I didn't do it full-time, and it really took me working at it full-time before I got good at it. So it's just one of those things that it takes a lot of practice, a lot of practice. So this shading red I happen to have in my cup, I could tell it's really watered down, which tells me I used it for outlining. Whenever I do shading, I have a little bit of water added. When I do outlining, I have a lot of water added. So at this moment, I'm just trying to thicken this paint back up. So I'm just adding more shading red into it to thicken it up. I like my paint to be thinned out a little bit for shading and a lot for outlining, but it is a difference. It's definitely a difference. Thank you, Joyce. Joyce says this gnome is so cute. Thank you. All right, y'all, same brush. Again, load that corner, do a little triangle load. And I'm just gonna go ahead and set it down on my perimeter. Oh, I do not have enough paint. That's too thin. I need a thicker line on here. I don't know what it is, but our red and our black, the manufacturer who does the paint for us, they switched manufacturers last year. And so though we can still get the same paint through them, I think the manufacturer went from like Valspar to Benjamin Moore or something like that. And so anyways, I say all that to say that they changed the formulas. And ever since they've done that, whenever I go to put this shading red down, the shading red is just not my favorite. It's almost too thin. And then it also always separates the paint. Anything you put on top of it separates, and it drives me nuts. So if you guys have a good exterior red, please let me know, because this red that I just used, we hand mix. So it is red and black mixed together. That's all it is. But I think it's that red or the black, one of them, the new ones that we have. I just don't really care for the tone that it makes. As you can see, it almost looks just really light. I definitely prefer it to look a little darker, but it just doesn't thin out the way I like it. I don't know how to explain it. It's not been the easiest to work with. Good morning, Wanda. Joanna says, I'm new here, love your work. Thank you, Joanna. So yes, my dear, 6 years of painting full time. I really felt like I got a lot better when I was doing this as a full-time job. And then, you know, when you're doing it as a full-time job, you really learn a lot, because you're like, hey, do I want to pay my bills and eat this month? The answer is yes, right? So I gotta work, and I gotta work a lot. And so it really kind of, that's what helped me to grow and get so much better and, you know, get more comfortable in my painting skills. And so I'm so grateful to get that opportunity to work from home. It's beautiful. I love it. I'm doing the favorite thing that I absolutely love to do. Painting. Painting is like therapy for me, y'all. I'm mad, sad, happy, whatever it is, I need to paint. I just love it. I like to turn up my music and kind of shut the world out and just go to town. All right, I got a little bit of shading brown. I have nutmeg here on the base, so I'm using a little bit of shading brown. Still using that same number 12 Royal Gold shader, y'all. And simply coming around the outside of my circle. All right, my shading is done on everything. I am gonna have to hit all this with a blow dryer just for a sec so that we can get our outlining going. Thank you, Debbie. Debbie says, welcome to Joanna. Yes, y'all, we are so happy to have any newcomers here. We definitely enjoy sharing what we enjoy or what we love to do with everybody else. I know a lot of us that are here, we all have the same likes. We enjoy doing this. And so it's fun to get to hang out with like-minded people. Good morning, Nancy. Got a little too much paint on some of this. Y'all, we had I had a paint party at our store in Pearland. It was a kids' paint party yesterday and the day before. We have two different daycares. And so the daycares come and they bring the kids, and you know, I show them how to paint like a letter of their name, and they have so much fun doing it. And I really enjoyed getting to see the kids enjoying this as much as I think us adults like it. Definitely fun. Kind of just making sure that this is dry. That shading red, like I was telling you guys about this new formula on it, anytime you put any color over top of it, it separates. So I need to make sure that I can Windex that one. So I'm trying to make sure that one's really dry, because it's got to be Windex. Good morning, Roberta. How are you, my dear? So glad you're here. That one's probably good enough. Let's get our gnome back. I think on this one, the only thing still wet. It's just my little patch I added on kind of late. Y'all, typically if I'm painting not on a live, like I'm just painting my stuff, I never use a blow dryer. I let it dry naturally by either just time or sticking it out in the sun. But whenever I'm painting for anything, painting for customers, painting for myself, I just let it air dry naturally. And I always think that it makes it a little bit easier. That way I can Windex in between each layer, because I don't know if anybody else really deals with this. I know us down here in South Texas deal with this, but the paint really starts to separate in between your layers, and so we Windex a lot. I Windexed this piece before I came online because the Windex seems to be the only thing that'll clean off the dust or the pollen or any of the impurities you have on top. So I find that to be true with exterior latex house paint, which is the paint that we use. I don't know what acrylics, I don't know if you have that same issue, but if you do have the issue of paint separating with exterior paint, Windex, Windex, Windex. I Windex in between, and I use a, what are these called? Like terry cloth. I know these have a name for them, but I cannot recall the name. But I just use these like crazy, and the reason, microfiber.
Could you try again?
I'm not talking to you, Siri. I use my microfibers. The reason I like the microfibers is they don't release little fibers onto your piece. Like if I use a regular rag, I can see the little fabric pieces left over. The microfibers don't do that. So I love, love, love my microfibers. Good morning, Roberta. She says, good morning. I'm waiting on my contractor working on my home garage left, then move in. How awesome. That is so exciting. I do recall whenever we were, we've lived in this house, what has it been? I guess it's been, it's about 2.5 years. And when we moved here, we had a workshop, but it was pretty small. It was about 1,400 square feet. And it wasn't a big enough space for me to have a paint shop and to have a CNC shop. And so we had to add on, and we doubled our workshop, but whew, man, that was quite the process, and it was not very fun. But, you know, end result, so worth it. So, so worth it. All right, y'all, let's get some black and start outlining this piece and getting it brought to life. I like to use these 2-ounce cups so that I can add water, and I'm not diluting my entire, you know, quantity of paint, all the paint that I have. So I put them in these cups so that I can just do it in small portions. I'm gonna kind of mix over here away from my piece so that hopefully I don't drip everywhere like I did earlier. But whenever I am going to outline, y'all, I need my paint to almost be watery. I can tell I don't have enough water. The reason I like it to be almost watery is for me, I get the best looking lines, very fluid, long strokes. So that's just what works for me. Definitely do what works best for you. Okay, I think I'm good. Got it loaded. I have some bristles here that are folded. Okay, there we go. All right, so now at this point, we're just gonna start outlining. So when I'm outlining, I'm really just following along any of those lines that I already have. So following on my perimeter. Get these shoes cleaned up. This is a Royal Gold script liner, by the way. It is a number 4. Now, y'all, on this beard, I want my beard to look a little bit light and fluffy, okay? So this outside lines might be a little bit darker than the lines I'm gonna try to do on the inside. And I'll show you what I mean by that here in just a second. Just gonna kind of get these, the CNC lines that are already etched in here for me, I'm kind of just getting those filled in right quick. Just kind of give me a base to start off of. All right. what I'm gonna do is actually do my whiskers first. Because I drew those in with chalk and I don't have those in the CNC lines, I wanna make sure that I can do these lightly. So what I'm gonna do, load my brush and I'm gonna offload that brush, okay? Then I'm just dipping just the tip. Just the tip. The reason I'm doing that is I want this to be light. Just dipping that tip again. Dip the tip, start on my edge, no pressure, very lightly. I'm almost lifting up that brush before I even hit that nose. I don't want to bring it all the way to the nose. I want it to kind of flow a little freely. Okay, same thing over here. Again, there's really no right, wrong, perfect way. I like to let my brush flow, and wherever my brush goes, y'all, it goes. If I try to control it too much, that's when I get those really thick lines that I don't care for. So I kind of just set it down and pull it, all right? Now, down here, I'm gonna kind of come into these lines, like right here, how this beard kind of comes up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a line that also comes up. So it's kind of like imagining where this might take you. All right, we can do the same thing right here. Now, down here, there's not really any definitive, you can almost just imagine where you might want it to go. I think over here I might even, boop, just add in a little. And leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it, leave it. Don't try to put too much. Roberta says that freeze in February was a nightmare. Finally, insurance called yesterday to finish up my claim and pay me. Oh, Roberta, I am so sorry that you had damage. We have a lot of friends and customers who has had the same kind of issues. In fact, Victoria, you guys haven't seen Victoria painting in months, and that was because of the freeze and her house getting torn up. So I'm so sorry about that, my dear, but I'm glad to hear that you've got some progress going now. That's awesome. All right, y'all, at this point, all we're gonna do is just kind of follow all the rest of these lines that are already here and waiting on me to bring my outline in with. Follow your little bowl. I don't know what it is with me and circles, but circles are not my friend. I do not do good circles when I'm outlining. I definitely prefer circles to be like, I don't know, at least 3 to 4 inches. To me, they're a lot easier. But small circles, whew, my brush kind of goes jiggy-jaggy on me. The good thing is when you're painting yard art, maybe this is why I love yard art so much more than door hangers, it's because it's meant to be seen from the road. So if it's not perfect, who cares? People can't really see it. They're supposed to be able to see it when they're driving by, you know? Not really up close and personal. Door hangers are more up close and personal. So I like the fact that yard art kind of gives you that ability to, you know, have more mistakes and boo-boos and not be as noticed by people. All right, there's our little patch. Okay, black outline on my gnome is done. Let me just move it. We're gonna work on fixing up our gnome hands. We will come back to outline our nose. I don't outline that in black. I outline that in shading red and to add highlights. But for now, I'm gonna move it out of the way and let's work on our sunflower and our star attachments. Again, those of you that use our paints, whatever reason, shading red, everything separates on top of shading red. So I'm taking that microfiber, just squirting a little bit of Windex, y'all, nothing crazy. And I'm just gonna wipe it down. Wipe it down, wipe it down, wipe it down. In fact, it doesn't hurt to just wipe the whole thing down. Why not? The reason I Windex is because where I live just north of Houston. We have humidity that gets pretty bad here, and obviously there's always allergens and dust and all this junk in the air. And that gets on top of my paint. And then when I come to kind of do the next layer, it separates on me. And it drives me bonkers. It drives me absolutely bonkers. And so we're always Windexing, but for whatever reason, that shading red, you got to Windex. Anytime you use that shading red, you have to Windex if you are going to put any color on top of it in hopes that it's actually going to come out looking good. Otherwise, that paint really starts to separate and kind of like flows out everywhere other than where you want it. So at this point, I'm kind of just following along, clean up these arms, bring in that black. Taking just what's in that brush, I'm not adding more. Anytime I'm kind of bringing those black wisps over top of my shading wisps, I'm not loading more paint, I'm just using what I already have. Again, the hands, the flesh tone, I do not outline flesh in black, I outline it in shading red. So I'm gonna leave the hands, we will clean those up. Now here, I'm not outlining any of this in black other than my shirt. I actually will use shading red on not only that flesh tone, but also on the brown tones. And then the sunflower, I'll actually use shading orange. You could use shading orange, you could use red orange number 19. You could use just shading yellow, even though we use that as our shading color. You could also come over top with your script liner in that shading yellow and just kind of create a little boundary on there. Alrighty, take that excess off. Kind of fill in those little swish marks. All right, now black outline is done on all of my pieces. So now let's switch and start working on, I think actually, let me hit this. We're gonna do the yellow. Let me just hit this couple of the spots where I know that I'm gonna touch it with another paint color. I'm just gonna hit it really quick. Right here, right here, right here. Just to try to get it to be a little dry so I can bring in that shading orange. And it won't pull up any black. That'll be good enough. Don't have to be perfect. Okay, now let's switch to shading orange. So that sunflower base, I have light yellow as the base. I shaded in shading yellow, and now I'm gonna use shading orange to outline the sunflower. To me, anytime that you're doing flowers really, or anything that has a yellow on it, I definitely love to outline with either shading orange or red orange, or like I said, you could even use shading yellow. Even though the shading yellow would be the same color of my shading, whenever you use a different brush, it does come out looking a little bit different of a color tone. But I love this as opposed to black. This really makes it pop. Y'all, I'm still using the Royal Gold script liner. I'm not even changing brushes. All I'm doing is just washing out that brush. All right. Now we can switch and do our shading red. So the same shading red I used on that heart, on that star, excuse me, is the same color. Now I'm going to add some water to it because when I'm outlining, I like it to be more watered down than when I'm shading. I like it to be almost runny and dripping. That's just my personal preference. That's still a little thick for me. All right, I think that's good enough. So here we're gonna go ahead and do our flesh tone. So on the hands and the nose as the base, I have the color flesh. From there, we shaded with shading flesh. And now we are outlining with shading red. While I'm here, I'm gonna also just kind of outline the center with shading red too. Anytime we're using a brown tone or a flesh tone, We like to use shading red as opposed to black. It just doesn't look as dark and as kind of stark as black can be. I think it's more complementary. Now there is our start. As far as outlining goes, my sunflower hand is done. We do need to add highlights, but I'm going to set it aside. Now here, do the same thing. Y'all, when I'm setting this brush down and I'm starting to kind of follow around my lines, I am not using any pressure. I'm really just allowing that brush to glide, kind of holding it up in the air. A lot of people prefer to rest their arm on something to help them have better stability, which is totally fine. That is a great way to help yourself. If your arm is shaking when you're doing this, put your elbow down and rest your elbow. Give yourself a guide. For me, I've been doing this so long that I can kind of just keep on moving. All right, our outlining is done on the star. Let me grab my gnome. And the only thing on the gnome that needs outlining is just our nose right here. So kind of set that brush down. Follow those lines. There we go. Okay, outlining is done. Only thing I really have left to do is add some white highlights. So I'm going to wash that brush out and grab my whites. Now, I want to show you guys this real quick. These are wet, so I'm not going to lay it down. But as you can see, this is kind of where your elbows are going to line up. So, in thinking about that, sorry, let me set that right back down before I mess it up. I'm not putting anything inside of these elbows because I think it would look weird if that cut off underneath the hand attachment. So I'm kind of leaving those elbows alone on purpose. So let's get a little bit of white. I'm going to just kind of come in here and add almost some like open C's on my shoes. I'm going to come over here and kind of get a little barrier right in between there. Just come in lightly. You could even come in lightly underneath your beard here. Nothing too crazy, just a little boop. All right, now the beard has white in it, so I'm leaving my beard alone. I'm not messing with that beard. Come up here on my hat, I'm gonna just very lightly. This is a no pressure kind of thing again. I'm not putting any pressure on my brush. I'm simply setting that brush down and just using my arm to pull it across. Come in over here. Come on. Let me see. Let me just do a little boop. Boop. All right. The white highlights on my gnome are finished. Actually, my gnome is finished, period. How cute is that? Super easy. Now I'm going to move my gnome and let's finish up our hand attachments. So here on my sunflower, only other thing I need to do, obviously, other than kind of coming in here and here, I do the same thing on my hands. I'm going to do the same thing on my flower, just kind of almost doing like an open V. Now here on the center, I'm gonna do a light crosshatch. So very lightly, set the brush down, just pull it across. Again, you're not putting pressure on here. Then go your opposite direction. I'm not adding more paint. I want it to be light and fluffy. There is my sunflower. I keep forgetting, y'all are turned this way. There is my sunflower, completely finished. If you look up close, you can see the white on those petals there. So let me move this one. And y'all, my silly head. Totally forgot to do polka dots on that. Let me show you my sample one. At this point, it's too wet. I can't even add polka dots on it. But here's my sample. I just did brilliant blue and white polka dots, just kind of spread out. I should have done the polka dots before doing the outlining, because at this moment, it's just too wet. But I will go ahead and add just some white highlights. So, only other thing I need to add here, again, is brilliant blue and white polka dots. And if you can see, I think the white I used a 3/4 inch sponge dauber, and the blue I used a 1 inch. So you just have a little bit of variation in sizes there, but nothing too crazy. So that is it for today. That is it for my outline job and my highlights. Now let me pull my dry gnome over and show you what it looks like with the hands. So here's the dry one. This was my dry sample. Looks the same as our one today. And then as you go through your seasons, you simply add your attachments. If you guys are interested in purchasing this blank, we do have it at the store. Our gnome is 28 inches tall, and it is, I think, about 20 inches wide. It comes pre-drilled, so that, as you can see, like my samples that I painted today, it already has holes drilled for them, so you don't have to drill anything. You don't have to worry about anything. All you do is simply, boop, attach whatever hands you're working on. So today we did the patriotic star, and this one's not dry, so I'm not going to set it all the, I think, is the back okay? I don't know, let's hope so. I don't want to mess this up. But we also did our sunflower. Now, those are the two hands that we did today. Let me show you guys a couple other options that we do have. Next month, because we're doing Christmas in July, so next month we will do our Christmas tree. And then we also have our leaf for like Thanksgiving time. Oh, let me move these. We've got, oh, I got way too much stuff over here. Our pumpkin for fall. And again, as each season comes, as all of these seasons come, we will be painting all these attachments. So pumpkin for fall, our witch hat for Halloween. We've got our shamrock for shamrock clover, y'all. I don't know. Somebody told us that we don't know the difference between a shamrock and a clover. And you know what? They're right. I don't know. So whether it's shamrock or whether it's clover, I don't know. But we do have that one for St. Patrick's Day. And then we have Easter egg for Easter. And then we, excuse me. Sorry, y'all. We also have a heart for Valentine's Day. So today you got the sunflower and you got the patriotic star. So as we go through month to month, we will continue to paint all of our other hands. So that is kind of what we have for you today. Carla says, love it. Paula says, you do great. Thank you, Paula. Carla, Pam, thank you. Debbie says, pre-drilled with the hardware. Yes, Debbie is correct. They are all pre-drilled with the hardware. And if you buy them from us, there's a QR code on the back that has a video on YouTube showing you how to attach everything to your piece. So nice and simple. Now, in case if anybody's wondering if we have this template is not ours. We bought it off Etsy. So go to Etsy and you can find this template. I actually want to say it came with like 24 attachments. We picked 9. You know, maybe next year we might add a couple more. Like they had one that was a watermelon with the bite taken out of it. So stinking cute. But for now, we're just starting with 9. That way everybody has an attachment for every single holiday or season. So you can honestly just leave your piece out all year long. But that is all I have for you guys today. Thank y'all so much for coming and hanging out. I really, really enjoyed painting our gnome together. I hope you guys give it a chance and paint one for yourselves and send some pictures. We'd love to see. I did provide a link for the checkout if you would like to purchase this. Hand and gnomes are all sold separately. You don't have to buy any of the hands if you don't want to buy them. Your hands are $9. You can buy them all separate. You can buy 1 or 2. Totally up to you. But that is all I have for today. I will be back next week. I think we're doing the interchangeable truck and the snail next week. But I want to show you guys right quick. Can I show you this Cowboy Santa that is to die for? Hold on. Check this guy out. How cute is he? He is one that we will be doing next month in Christmas in July. And so we will have the template for him as well as the blank. I just think he's precious. Everybody, we live in South Texas. Who doesn't want a Cowboy Santa down here? You know, we just love cowboys and Santas. So I hope that you guys will come and see us next month for Christmas in July. I think we have like, I don't know, 30 new patterns. Plus we're bringing back a lot of old patterns as well. Super excited about that. I love Christmas time. It gets me all excited. All right, y'all, that's all I got for today. I will see everybody next week. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week, and come and see us at yardacademy.com if you'd like to join our membership. Bye, y'all. See you soon.